Hey everybody, it's Brad. Today we're going to be digitizing in the new Floriani Sketch-A-Stitch program. I'm going to digitize a wolf head, and I'm going to do it Let's Digitize style, so it's not going to be super tutorial-y. I'm just going to kind of do it and kind of explain what I'm doing the whole time, but I'm not going to go out of my way to explain everything. But you can watch and see kind of how the workflow goes in this program, kind of the way that you could approach digitizing with this method. So I am using a touch tablet, and I have a pen that when I move my pen close to the screen, this little plus sign thing shows up, and I'm using that for all of my mouse inputs. And I'm going to be using that to draw the stitches in. So let's just get to it. I'm going to hit create a new design to get started here, and that opens up my design page, and I will be digitizing from a backdrop today. So I'm going to go over to my backdrop tool and select an image that I have. Let's see, which one am I going to do? I'm going to do this one actually. All right, so here we go. Now the design itself is going to be the size that I draw it. So before I start, I want to make sure that I have my my backdrop sized to the size that I want it. I am going to make this fairly large, actually. I'm going to make it so that the width over here in my backdrop properties, I'm going to make the width 100 millimeters, which is pretty big. That's about 4 inches. And I'm just going to hit enter on the keyboard. Okay, and it has sized it. And now I'm going to go up to my zoom and set this to fit so I can see the entire thing. So the first thing that I'm going to do when I'm thinking about digitizing this is I need to decide whether I'm going to do this as a straight up sketch where there's no filled in areas at all and it's just all like a running stitch, or if I want to have fills. And I think that I want to do this with a layer of fill on the bottom. So what that's going to look like is I'm going to go up to my brush and choose in here the fill brush, and I can set the density with this little icon here. I want to make this fairly low density because I'm going to layer on top of this. This is going to be kind of like my base layer. And let's see, I'm going to do this kind of a dark gray. And I'm just going to start drawing. So the way this works, I'm going to draw it, let's see, I'm going to kind of cut off the head part a little bit so that I can have 2 different stitch directions going. And you see when I do that, it automatically closes the shape that I've drawn there. So we've got that, and then I'm just going to go ahead and draw in this part. Now I could do the muzzle as a separate piece like this and have this be a lighter color in there. Let's see, let's go ahead and do that. We'll draw the muzzle in a lighter color like that. And oh, I guess I should have done the ears. I'm going to make the ears the same color as before. I can go back and color sort this later. So don't worry if I do stuff kind of out of order. I'm not really worried about best practices here. But then, okay, so let's see. Now we want, I guess, black for the nose. That wasn't very good. I'm going to hit undo. And let's see. Really get down to it there. Oh, and look. It's made it that that gray color, because when I hit undo, it undid me selecting black. So let me go back and reselect black. Okay, let's try this again. Just that's not that great. All right, so whatever, that's fine. And well, we've got the mouth down here, doesn't have any fill near it. That's all right. That is okay. So now having the fills displayed here is going to make it kind of difficult to see the rest of what I want to trace. So what I'm going to do is go over to my sequence view. I'm going to hit this little eyeball and just hit that next to each one of these fills that I've drawn in so that they're hidden. That makes it so I don't have to look at them. And we're just going to start kind of coloring in with run stitches to do shading. So I think what I'm going to start with is this kind of reddish brown coat, like around here. So I need to find like a reddish brown color. And remember, the color that I choose here, I can pick whatever color I want when I go to sew it out. I'm just kind of getting in the layers. So I picked this kind of reddish brown down here, and I'm going to go get my brushes, which is this icon here. And this time I'm going to switch to a run stitch. And basically, it's just, the name of the game is just sketching sketching the design. So if I want to, I could zoom in a bit. I'm going to use my my magnifying glass and zoom in a little bit and get back my brush. And I'm going to start in this bottom corner here. And I'm just scribbling. That's how you do this. It's just layers and layers of scribbles. There we go. And then I'm just kind of following the stitch direction to the direction of the coat. And there's going to be a few layers going on of this kind of thing. And if you've ever watched my realistic animal fur digitizing video, where I do this with a mouse, I mean, it's basically the exact same process. So I'm just kind of following where I see this kind of reddish brown color, and I try to follow the direction of the fur as I do this. And then every now and again you want to let off. Okay, so I just let go. And you see this black dot? That is where my last stitch was. So if I don't want there to be a jump stitch, I need to pick my stitching up again there. But you want to let off every now and again, because if you don't, and then you make a mistake and you hit undo, like if I hit undo right now, it's gonna undo all of that work, and that is all gone now. So if I had made a mistake, the only way to fix it really would be to start over again. Now I'm gonna hit redo there because I didn't actually want that to to stop there. And now I'm gonna zoom back out a bit. I'm just going to go up to my zoom level and choose zoom out, and then I'll move with the arrows here on the sides. Now there's actually some more of this coloration down here that I missed, so I'm going to travel back down here. So get my brush, and we're just going to kind of wiggle our way back down here to where I missed this bit of the color right here. And we'll make sure we get all the way down here too. And we're going to blend other colors into this, so don't worry that this isn't as dense as it looks like it should be. All right, so we're going to zoom back out a bit, and let's see where else we see this kind of color. There's a little bit up in the face up here, and there's actually a little bit kind of up this way. And you only need to be at the level of zoom that you're comfortable with. So I mean, you can kind of pick where you feel like you need your zoom to be. So now, let's see, there's a little bit up here, a little bit over here. All right, now there's really not anywhere that I could easily travel to that has the rest of this color, but I could kind of take it and do kind of a straight line up here to travel. But the danger with that is if I don't cover that up, this traveling stitch right here, if I don't cover that up, then it's going to be pretty apparent. So instead of doing that, I'm going to let there be a jump stitch from here to here. Sometimes it's better to have the jump stitch, or have the machine cut a jump stitch for you. So I'm going to put that in there, and then I'm going to do just a little bit of it over here. This kind of red. Oh, I made a mistake. There we go. Hit undo. And I'm going to do just a little bit of this coloration right there on the ear. And I could see there being an argument for a little tiny splash of this color right here on the muzzle. Okay, so that's pretty good. All right, so now I think the next layer that I'm going to do, I could either do the dark coloration here, or I could do the kind of light beigey kind of off-white part of the fur. I think I'm going to do that. I'm going to do the off-white part. Now, I already have a beige color that I used for the muzzle, and I could go and pick up that same color and use that, and I think that's what I'll do. And then we'll see when we sew it out whether that needs to be two separate colors. But anyway, so I'm going to just start on this. I think I'm going to start down at the bottom and just work my way around this way. All right, so I'm going to start down here, and we are just filling in these areas, and we want it to overlap with my red. We want that. That is important that it does, because that's going to give us blending. And we want to try to follow the stitch direction that we have for our other stitches. And that is going to make it so that they blend better. All right, I'm just going to let off. And we're going to go up the ear a little bit here. And then there's kind of like a little hint of it up there. So I'm going to go up that way. And then it gets a little wider here. And then we have some of it that kind of goes up inside the ear, so I'm going to follow that. And then here it kind of goes up and around the ear a little bit. Kind of like a little bit of fuzz coming off, and then we've got some over here too. Now I know that's not all exactly the same color, but you know, I don't want to have a million color changes. So we're going to do this in as few colors as we can. So we're going to treat this as this lighter color here. Okay, so we've definitely got a bunch up in the face. So if I were smart, I probably would have done more of this up here. But I could always give it another layer and travel my way back that way. Because this is pretty low density right here, what I'm doing. So we kind of have the room to be able to just kind of travel around wherever we want to go with this kind of thing. So I'm traveling back down here, and then I'm going to kind of jump up into here. Start doing this. And then I'm just going to kind of come down here, get this area around the eye, like that. And then I'm going to come down here, and we've got this in the face. And then we're going to follow the contours of the snout a little bit to give it a little bit of dimensionality. And we go under here, under the chin, and then back to the kind of contours of the snout here. And then across the bridge of the nose. Now, I am no artist, by the way. I'm not a painter. So somebody that's a little bit better at just drawing in general is probably going to get better results than I am probably going to get. You know, I'm just not an artist. You know, it's just not in my DNA. So I'm looking at this and I'm thinking that I didn't fill in enough down on this side. So while this isn't really best practice, I'm going to let there be a jump stitch and fill in some more over here, because I'm really not super worried about digitizing best practices here. I just want to kind of color everything in, and I'm kind of doing this like someone who doesn't know how to digitize. You know, I want to kind of try and focus on that, because this is such a good tool. This program is such a good tool for somebody that doesn't understand digitizing. It's pretty forgiving, because mostly what we're doing is drawing with running stitches, which they're pretty forgiving. Okay, so now we need a bit of a dark gray, and I want it to be darker gray than my gray that I picked for my main gray base coat. So we'll do this one. This is dark gray. And I'm going to start filling in these darker sections here. I'm going to start, I'm going to start over here in the middle of the left side. And I'm just, for some reason it didn't take. All right, give me that color. All right, we can see down on the corner that it's picked that color. All right, here we go. Drawing in the black. And we want to try and make sure that we follow the direction of the fur. And we do want to overlap with the reddish brown. And we're just traveling through, adding this fur. Now kind of making it go a different direction there, because kind of his back is going that way. Alright, And where can we go from here? We can kind of zig up into here. And then, let's see, we're going to sneak our way up into this part and get around here. Now, this and this, this strip in the middle here is definitely darker than this fur coming out here. So I think I'm going to use black around the eyes. So I may go from around the eyes and put like an even darker piece up here in the middle. But I've decided I'm going to use this gray to do all of this fur around here. Like that. So all of this is going to be this dark gray. And again, I'm trying to follow the direction that the fur is around here. I don't know if I succeeded there on the snout, but it's all right. This is, like I said, this is pretty forgiving. All right, so let's take stock of where we're at right now. At this point in digitizing the design, what I'm going to do is I'm going to actually turn off the backdrop, and we're going to take a look at our shading. So down here on the bottom left-hand toolbar, I'm going to touch this icon, and that gets rid of my background, and we can turn 3D on so we can see it a little bit better. So that's all of our shading that we've done so far. And if we want, we can go over to the sequence view and turn on our fills, which makes it so you can kind of see the design taking shape. So we can see how much shading we've got in here, and we can see that you know, down in his quadrant, his lower left-hand quadrant, it's not like super tight. We may want to fill that in a little bit more, but we can see that this is starting to take shape. I'm going to go ahead and re-hide my fills and turn my backdrop back on. So we can see we've definitely got a ways to go here, and we may actually need another shade to get this really. I might need like another shade of like a lighter or a darker color of this kind of yellow to blend together. I don't know. We'll see where we end up. But I want to get some more of this dark gray in. So where was I? I was here. And let me turn off my 3D so I can see what I'm doing a little bit better. So see, we've got some down here that we're missing. So I'm going to kind of travel down this way, fill in that gap. And then maybe I'll put like a hint of the darkness around here to kind of accentuate the bottom of the muzzle. See how there's like a little bit of that darkness in there. And then I think I'm going to come back around down here and fill in these areas down here a little bit more, because when I had it in 3D I noticed that this was just not very dense. So I'm going to make it a little bit tighter by running over it again, particularly this one. I really just love how, I mean, I'm just moving the pen. It is very intuitive. I had my daughter use this program briefly when I first brought it home, and she was able to just immediately pick it up and start drawing stuff. All right, so I think I want to do kind of a lighter shade of brown, darker shade of beige for the insides of the ears and their little fur on the inside of their ears. So let's see. I'm using the really basic color palette. I find it overwhelming when I've got like 300 different colors to choose from. All right, so we're going to do this khaki color, and we'll see what we get. I'm just going to kind of start going around like this in there, and do the same thing over here. Kind of give it that little dimensionality. Okay, and then there's kind of some other places where we could blend this color in we could kind of blend it in with our dark brown and do it real light. Just follow the stitch direction real good. I don't know how good that's going to look, but blending colors like this is pretty cool. And then maybe we could blend that color in along with some of this too. Give it see what that looks like in 3D. Whoops. That might be a little light, but you get the idea of how you can do this. My color choices aren't aren't really the best. They never are when I pick my own colors for things. I can see a couple of spots where my my stitches aren't tight enough, so I'm gonna use this color to blend in here, even though it's maybe not the best color in the world to have chosen. You can always go back and change the color later. As long as you get the stitches in, you can change the color that they are. Let's take a look at this without the image. Okay, so we've got nothing on the inside of the ears, so that needs to be done. And looking at this dark gray, my dark gray is just not tight enough. I don't have enough of this going around this part of the face and around here. So I'm going to put the backdrop back on, and I'm going to pick that dark gray back up, and I'm going to go ahead and color some more in. Now, this is going to create an unnecessary color change, and if this is the only program that I have, then I want to be a little more careful about picking what order I do things in. However, if I've got Total Control U, which I do, I can take this into that and do a color sort after I'm done doing this, which will eliminate a lot of unnecessary color changes for me. So I'm just kind of re-sketching in some of this. Yeah. Didn't say I was super good at this. Okay. That looks all right. So I think that I need a little bit more. I need some color around the eyes before I get to the dark part around the eyes. So I think what I'm going to use is that color that I picked. That I wasn't sure whether it's a really good color or not. I'm going to use that anyway. We're going to go around the eyes like that, and then I'm going to use straight black. I'm going to zoom in. Eyes are super important, guys. Eyes are the window to the soul and all that. So I'm going to be really careful with these and get my brushes back. I wish that the brush thing would just always stay up, right? Like this goes away. This needs to just stay here, okay? So anybody from Floriani watching this, make this stay all the time. There's no reason that this should ever turn off. None at all. Anyway. Draw this in, kind of follow it out there. Okay, I'm going to do the same thing on the other side. And then I find that when you're doing animals, wolves in particular, you don't want to use the actual color of the eye. When you're doing embroidery, you want it to be super bright. So I'm going to make these eyes bright yellow. And that's going to look good. Okay, and then let's get a little bit more black. Okay, I know it's hard to see what I just did there, but let me put it in 3D. Boom, look at those eyes. Very creepy. Alright, so let's get back out to fit. Alright, and well, obviously we need to do more on the nose too. So I'm going to use the dark gray for this. I'm going to go and do kind of a couple of circles of this dark gray with my running stitch pen to kind of define it a little bit. And then I want to put the nostrils in there. See how that looks, because remember there's a black fill under this. And then while we're at it, I guess we never really did the mouth. There's no fill in where the mouth is, unfortunately. Or is there? Yeah, no, there's not. So that was an oversight on my part. I really should have extended the fill, this fill right here. Let me turn it on for you. I should have extended this fill under into here. So that was not great that I didn't do that. Basically, at this point, to work around it, because I don't even have a mouse plugged into this thing, so I'm like stuck with my touchpad. It's going to be hard for me to adjust shapes. What should I do? I'm going to make my own fill and just use this beige. I guess what I could do is put a fill there. Yeah, that's what I'll do. Use this and draw with this and the fill, and we're just going to draw in that missing triangle. Oh, darn it. It's the wrong color, you dummy. Okay, so obviously that's not ideal, and then we're going to hide it. We could change its sequence. I could go in and change that so it sews out afterwards. I mean, I could do a lot of things a lot better on here. Basically, if I had my mouse plugged in, it would be a little easier. All right, but now we're going to draw this kind of frowny face that he's got. It's got a sourpuss going on. And we could do that in two different colors. That's going to be a goofy looking dog mouth, I can tell you that right now. It's alright though. Alright, so let's see. I said I wanted to do this part up here in black, so let's go ahead and do that. This might be too dark. It's possible. But I do like to use a bit of black when I'm doing stuff like this. Blend it in a little bit with the stuff around it. Oh, why am I doing this in 3D? Turn that off. And then I'm going to take the black and just kind of go up the ear. Travel down here. Then I'm going to do over on this ear. Again, I know I didn't travel over to this. Like I said, I'm trying to do this the way somebody that doesn't necessarily know how digitizing works might do it. So it's hard because, you know, I do. So hard for me to intentionally not think about it. And then, so we could put more black in, you know, and you know, increase the contrast in here. So I could use the black, say, put like a coat of black down on top of these, like this. Let's see what that looks like in 3D. But I don't think that's super necessary to do that. Just to fit this and put in our fills and turn off our backdrop and see what we've got. So, I mean, that's a reasonable looking wolf to have done in, I don't know, how long has this been? Like 20 minutes? To just hand draw a digitized wolf. So I actually have one of these that I did earlier in a similar amount of time that that I actually sewed out. Let's take a look and see what the differences are between this one and the one that I did earlier that I actually have sewn out. Open. Alright, so this is one that I did earlier. Looks pretty similar. So this one right here, I did earlier today, just kind of as like a practice. So I have this one sewn out. I'm going to put up the picture of what it looks like sewn out right here. There you go. You see, I mean, it looks all right. It's not like the greatest thing in the world or anything, but it is really, really fun. And I think people that don't know how to digitize, or people that aren't super good at interfacing with computers with a mouse, are going to really enjoy this program, because it frees you up to be artistic without necessarily having to think about how digitizing works. So I'll go back to my design that we just did. Actually, I like this new one better. Like, this is a better job. So maybe I'll sew this one out too. I do need some more work in the ears. The ears obviously need another couple of layers, but the body and the muzzle looks all right, and then the mouth doesn't look as stupid as I thought it would. So anyway, that is digitizing. That's pretty much the process for doing it. I mean, you know, you just put a layer of color down after layer of color, and then eventually you get something that you know, looks like a reasonable facsimile of whatever it is you're tracing. So that is pretty neat. That's what I wanted to show you today. So hope you enjoyed the video. I'll see you in the next one.